Only 6 players in Montreal Canadiens history have scored 50 in a season. We're talking
crazy.
It is crazy.
It is crazy. Like the most storied franchise in the history of the sport. And we're talking the Rocket. We're talking Boom Boom. We're talking the Flower, Steve Shutt, Stéphane Richer, and Pierre LaRouche. Cole Caulfield is a goal away from joining that club and becoming the first since 1990 when Stéphane Richer did it all those years ago. And
That's
Suzuki, it is crazy.
Yeah.
And how about this one, Kami? One further, Nick Suzuki, as we record this, sitting with about 95 points. He's looking to become the first Montreal Canadien in 40 years to hit 100 points since Mats Naslund. Only 4 players in the history of the Habs. Mats Naslund.
Clearing the crease. Oh. Clearing the crease. Hey, hey,
Welcome back to the Clearing the Crease podcast, powered by Ozune.net. He's the Calder Trophy winner, Andrew Raycroft, the Razor, alongside your favorite Stanley Cup champion, Tommy Mike Commodore. I'm James Cebulski, and before we go anywhere, Razor, you happen to notice something in the world of golf that may have aligned with Kami this past weekend.
Oh, well, yeah. I mean, I listen to Sirius XM Golf all the time during the day. Listen to Colton Sleazy, and they were talking about Kami's golf course. So I knew he wasn't in town, but they had the big club championship going. So I was curious where Kami was and why he would bag out of the club championship if he had a chance to win this weekend.
Well, first off, I really do appreciate, it's very obvious by your comments you've never played golf with me, but I do appreciate your confidence in my game. So this past weekend, we can touch on Dallas in a bit, but it was the club championships at Whisperock. There's like senior, there's a member T club championship, which is the one where most normal golfers play in, and then the black tee, that's the back. So I did a few years ago kind of get peer pressured. I think that people just wanted to laugh at me to qualify for it. So some years they have lots, quite a few people who want to play. So you have to qualify, shoot a certain score, and then the top 12 do like match play or whatever. So the one year I did try to qualify, and it did not go well at all. I was out there, the ball has to go in the hole. I'm a match play player here. And we're
and
playing
Cody,
from
in fairness, you're a pretty good player, though. Like, you play regularly.
Yeah, I play regularly. I'm like a single index. I go anywhere from I'm a shitty 3. I'm a pretty good 6. That would probably be the best way to describe my game. Yeah.
That's impressive.
Anyways, yeah, well, thank you.
Except when the ball has to go in the hole and you're playing against plus 5s.
Are you too good? Are you too good for your home?
Oh, yeah. So I'm playing with these guys. They're trying to qualify. I am too, but I'm like, I get erratic off the tee. So these guys are playing hard. I'm trying, but I just keep hitting it in the bush. I'm like going to run out of balls. I'm wandering around the desert. Finally, on it was the 11th tee, I took like a 10 on 9. I think I tripled 10. Or actually, I might have parred 10, which is a hard hole. Got up to the tee on 11, a par 5, and just hit this low Healy spinner that went further sideways than it did long. And I'm just on the tee, and I was exhausted. I'm just like, you know what, guys? I'm having a nice time with you, but how about I just done doing this, and I'm just going to play and have some fun and cheer you guys on. They're like, that's probably a good idea. I go, yeah, sounds good. So I did learn something that day. I didn't know, I did finish the round, but I got in. They're like, well, hey, what'd you shoot? Like, where's your card? I'm like, what do I get when I don't fit? Like, I don't have a score. They're like, oh, okay, NC, no card. So that's what I got. I figured it was probably in my best interest to skip the Black Tee Club Championships this year. The winner was, just to show for anybody who knows golf, kind of the level of competition here. The winner was a major champion. His name's Jeff Ogilvy. Yeah. So
One
Wow.
at Wingfoot of all places too.
Yeah, this guy's pretty good at golf. He's not hitting the ball in the desert. I'll tell you that. So,
Does nobody scream ringer like, hey, come on, this isn't fair?
no, I mean, it's straight up. I mean, there's
Yeah.
it would like there's other guys in there that can play. I would say probably. I mean, I didn't see the field, but I mean, Colt played. I mean, he he played 9 years on tour. Stoltz played Canadian tour, and like it's golfers. These guys, there's no question about it. So I think that's like the first time though. Like the touring guys don't play in it all that often. Like at the end of the day, like. They got, either they're playing or practicing or whatever they're doing. So they don't play all that much, but they do, especially some of the older guys. And surprisingly, a little bit like the Jeff Ogilvies of the world don't win it every year. That's for sure. Like I could go down the list of guys that have won it the last little while, and you guys probably wouldn't have heard of them for sure.
Yeah.
But they're all sick. So anyways, I was better off, sir, getting hammered in Dallas at PGA Frisco.
Yeah, give us stories. Give us detail. You played
yeah.
in the alumni game?
Yeah, I did. I'd like to shout out to the Dallas Stars alumni. They were all very welcoming since I never played a game for the Dallas Stars, nor did I come close, just the Texas Stars. But it was fun. 2 nights at Frisco. Played both courses there. The tournament was on so they're hosting the PGA Championship next year on the East course, which is private. If you ever get a chance to go, I would recommend it. It's beautiful, I would say, and the golf course it's legit. There's no question about that. It blows there. So it was, I guess it was just, I mean, it was 25, 30 mile an hour winds. I mean, it's no joke. But did that, had a lot of fun, smashed a lot of drinks, had a really good group. We had a lot of fun. And then the next day was my Saturday night special pick there, Saturday night, 2 o'clock. Avs Stars, watched that game from Tom Gillardy's box, which was fun. And then 20 minutes after that game was done, my Stars didn't bring it that night. That was not a good, they didn't have much going on. There might have been more action in the alumni game, I got to be honest. There was, the alumni game was 4-3. No, just like goals. No,
okay, they were going at it.
It didn't get heated at all.
Great.
But 20 minutes after that game was on, so went out. I would say I actually felt pretty good. I think I was better than expected. And then just
who else played, Commie? Come on, give us some names. Who else was out on the ice?
Oh, let's see.
What other former Texas Star great?
I don't think there were. I think I was the only one from that league. Who was out there? Yuri Letnin was out there.
Huh?
Craig Ludwig was out there.
Nice.
Who else do we have? A lot of the big guys didn't end up. They just played the golf and didn't play the hockey. Like the Brendan Morrow, Brett Hulls of the world. They didn't play. But yeah, it was good. Bob Basson puts it on, and there was Paul Cavallini and Gerald Didick.
Did lots of Avs guys go up too?
No, this was just Dallas Stars.
Oh, got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So like Vern Fiddler was there, like some younger guys and stuff. So yeah, it was a good game. We were up, what was it? We were up 3-2 with a couple minutes left. I was not a plus player, but I was not a minus player either. Nothing happened when I was on the ice, so that's a win. They tied it up kind of late, and then Vern Fiddler scored to put us up 4-3 with like 30 seconds left, and that was it.
Oh, Vern.
Yeah, I sold some 50-50 tickets. When I was drunk Friday night, I volunteered because Gerald Didick didn't want to do it. I'm like, oh, that'll be fun. And so immediately the next morning, I'm like, what were you thinking? So they had a Commodore 22 Stars jersey. So I'm standing out there with my sign. And I did have I sold 3 tickets. One of them was to myself. And a couple people did come up, though. They're like, Dallas Stars? I go, yeah, no.
Keep walking.
They're like, you played here? And I'm like, no, it's okay. Do you want a ticket? No, you don't. So anyways, but it was fun. It was awesome. I had a really good weekend. I'm glad I went.
That's awesome.
Speaking of plus minus, let's get into it's Masters week, huh? We haven't even talked about this enough the last month and a half.
No,
we had like this is the final round now, huh?
This is the final
round. You picking a winner?
Back 9.
Yeah, back 9. I mean, we're there on. The leaders are on hole 12 and 13 here. 5 or 6 left. I just looked the other day, so I don't have anything from yesterday, and anything can happen on the back 9 on a Masters Sunday. But I think this thing's over. I think it's over. Brock Besser has taken control. He had a double bogey 3 holes ago, then albatross, and I don't think he's coming backwards anymore. He's going to have
a huge push.
He's making a big push. Second place is already in the clubhouse because he's hurt. It's that Belarus man in Chicago.
Already left Shunov.
Yeah, that guy was soft. He should have finished here and take a few more birdies. But
he's the NC.
He NC'd it. Yeah, he's sitting there solo second. He took an NC instead of finishing out his round. But yeah, I mean, out of Brock Besser is going to be hard to catch. North Dakota's finest.
There you go.
North Dakota's finest. So we'll see. Big week for that too, Razor. Right? You're back on college hockey.
100% Thursday, no Dak versus Wisco. So I'll be texting you all afternoon on that.
Oh yeah, yeah, I'll be there too. I got that one. I don't puck it. Yeah, I'm going. Okay,
great.
Packing
awesome.
the dogs.
You're going.
Up. Yep.
Oh
yeah,
boy,
I'm
that'll
driving
be great.
in. I rented a house.
Boy,
yeah,
I love
it's
it.
going to be on.
Look
I'm
out.
looking forward to it.
Is there lots of guys going? Like, is there a group of guys, or are you solo? Or
I'm going solo. I have a little chat from our 2000 team, and I've gotten a couple other random texts. There's a few guys. I will say, I think the airline ticket prices are turning some people off. I would say a little bit. That gas at $6 a gallon is
it's a problem.
Yeah, that's a little bit of a problem. So, but there'll be people like, especially older alumni. Like, I don't really know who will be there, but when I get there on Thursday, I'll pull into that pre-party at about noon, and there'll be a lot of people there, I'm sure.
Here we go. So much. And we've really just scraped the tip of the iceberg here, I think, for this edition of the Clearing the Crease podcast, powered by Ozune.net. The road to the Stanley Cup, it's wide open right now, and Ozune's got the clearest route to winning big. All the props, all the game lines, all the futures from now until the Cup final and beyond. So make your power play and score big with Ozune. It is your turn now. Also, just a quick reminder, if you're enjoying the show and you love the content and all the stories that we bring you each and every week, make sure to like and subscribe, mash those buttons, whether you're on YouTube, or give us a 5-star review on Apple, Spotify, or make sure you're following along on social media, whether it's Instagram, X, TikTok, or wherever else you are tuning in from. Lots of jobs changing. A bit of a turnstile over the last week. Kind of a surprising as here we are in the final week of the NHL regular season, not even into the playoffs yet, and a lot of changes in management. Coaches again. We'll get to that in just a moment, but let's go to our Clearing the Crease Saturday night special, our final one of the season. Wow, where does the time go? We're going to pick 3 winners. We've hit a few winners over the course of the season, so let's go out with a bang. 3 games, 3 winners. Kami, start us off.
All right. I've been cheering. I've said it multiple times on this podcast. The one team that I would, of them all, that I would really like to see in the playoffs are the Detroit Red Wings. So I will take the Detroit Red Wings to pound the New Jersey Devils on, I think it's Saturday afternoon, at some point on Saturday. So go Wings.
Okay. Razor.
Oh, I'm taking the Winnipeg Jets just so they can hang around a few more days.
Damn
to
it.
give Kami a little bit of a tummy ache and let him struggle with that. They're playing the Philadelphia Flyers in Winnipeg. The Flyers are as good as it's been. They've gotten themselves into the playoffs. I think they take a little bit of a slip in Winnipeg.
There we go. And to round out the trifecta, give me the Sharks fighting for their playoff lives right now, along with the Jets in that Western Conference. Give me the Sharks at home over the Vancouver Canucks. Number 32.
And
a team that is
at least.
And a team absolutely stacked, vying for the green jacket right now. Kami, I think you got about 4 Canucks right now in the top 15 between Besser and Pedersen and DeBrusk and Bouillon. So it's all happening. So there's your 3 winners for this Saturday's Clearing the Crease Saturday night special. Book it. We're coming up big. I do want to touch on the playoff races in a moment, but lots of news here as we record this going down. Let's start from a coaching standpoint. I think just a couple of weeks ago, somebody was asking, has there ever been a big coaching change super late in the season, right before the playoffs? And we're like, yeah, there's 1 or 2 that have happened. And what do you know? We've got back-to-back weeks here with less than 10 games to go. First, it's Vegas with Tortorella. Now, one of the greatest goaltenders in the history of hockey, Patrick Roy, out as head coach of the New York Islanders, replaced by the name we've all been waiting for. Just waiting for it. Pete DeBoer is back for his 6th head coaching job as the Islanders. They've lost 4 straight. They're now on the outside looking in for a playoff spot. They've lost 7 of the last 10. Razor, how do we feel about this one?
Well, this one I think is a little different than the Torts one that we saw last week, in that Matthew Darche, the New York Islanders, decided probably a little while ago, but especially this week, that Patrick Waugh was not coming back next year no matter what. So let's pivot. Let's go get our guy now. Let's get the number 1 free agent coach right now, so he doesn't have 5 offers from 5 other teams that are more and that have different options. Let's just lock this guy up. That's what they went out and did with 4 games left. So the Torts thing was a Vegas team that's going to get in the playoffs, that they needed a little boost, and the players had tuned Cassidy out. This one, from all accounts, is they didn't love the way they were playing. The structure wasn't what they needed going forward. If they get in, great, but more likely than not, they've got their guy for next year with Matthew Schaefer. He signs a 3-year contract that lines up with the general manager, and it's more of a long-term play rather than a short-term play.
Kami?
Yeah, I agree with Razor. Yeah, I mean, it's really, I think at the end of the day, like Razor just said, get him off the market right now. Now we got him. What a gig this head coaching, though.
It is a racket,
like,
isn't it? It's a big Ponzi scheme.
Oh, man, these guys just get shuffled. Once you're in, now don't get me wrong. It's not easy to get in. You got to coach a long time. Like, I get it. Like, it's not like you just, I'm going to coach, and next thing you know, the Islanders are calling you. So you got to put your time in. But once you're in, unless you do something incredibly stupid, you are sticking around and making some coin for a long time. But you know what? I met Pete DeBoer last year. Seemed like a nice dude. So happy for him. I'm sure he's excited. I'm sure he would have known he would have had some offers too in the off season. So he must have kind of liked what he see on the island. So good for him.
Yeah, so he obviously had time to choose, because he had time left on his contract from Dallas, so he could kind of sit and wait and be a little more particular. But, I wanted to throw this from a player's standpoint for you guys, because you kind of touched on something there, Kami. So here's DeBoer, over 1,200 games he's coached in the National Hockey. I like Pete going back to when he was on the bench as an assistant with the World Juniors back in the mid-2000s, but Panthers, Devils, Sharks, Golden Knights, Stars, and now here with the Islanders. As players, how do you guys feel about the retread coach coming in compared to, say, a new coach? Do you prefer the devil, or do you prefer just a fresh voice? Like, I don't know, Kami, start with you on this one. Like, how do you feel about, like, what's the perception of the retread? Because 2/3 of the league, you've got coaches, I think almost 20 coaches in the National Hockey League right now have at least had 2 jobs or more.
No, yeah. Well, I'll say I don't really care who's coming in as long as it works out well for me and I'm sticking around and I'm getting minutes. I'll tell you, that would be the most important thing. Yeah. So, I've had to work out in my career both ways where, well, I guess Arneal was the new guy in Columbus. That worked out great for me. So I wish Hitch wouldn't have got canned. That was terrible for me. So maybe I wouldn't have minded a retread there. That would have been nice. But I guess I don't know if players. I guess it depends on which player and where you're at in your career. Like, I guess maybe if you're an older guy and a new guy coming in, I would just think maybe you don't like that quite as much. But for me, I think it just boils down to an individual perspective for sure.
It's kind of where you are in your career. If you're a young guy coming up, you want a young guy's awesome, because typically they're a little more open-minded. They're a little bit more open to younger guys, especially when we played too. When Kami and I played, you had real old school guys who wouldn't even look at young kids, right? Yeah. Like if you were a young kid and you had Mike Keenan, forget it. Like there's just, you're not playing. Like it's not even a question. So I always liked early on, the young guy was like good, but I think overall the retread is better as a player for the most part. I'd rather know exactly what I'm getting than getting a guy who doesn't know which door to go into in a visiting room. That just, like, for me, I had one of those coaches once, And it was really hard to respect him and really hard to like get behind his message when he'd never really gone through the NHL before. Yeah, I felt as a team it was really hard to respect and believe it. So I understand completely why if I'm a general manager, I'm going for the guy who's had success. Pete DeBoer's had more success than anyone really lately.
Yeah, it's always the resume can matter in the eyes of some players. So, okay, now management. There's been a lot over the last week here as well. Let's start with the freshest one, and that's with the New Jersey Devils. Tom Fitzgerald out after almost 11 years with the organization. He took over in an interim role in 2020, and he's been the guy ever since. But look, I think the Devils. I think everybody's been kind of seeing this window for now for the Devils, and it's clearly not happening. This year, another belly flop. Commie, Devil alumni, what's happening in New Jersey?
Yeah, they keep me up to speed on everything going on
there.
An
alumni game soon enough.
I'm sure that will be. You know what? It's out east, so I don't see him as much. I will say. Yeah. Like 2 years ago, I remember watching the Devils play. I was in Calgary, and I was like, wow, these guys look good. Like, they're fast. They can move. Yeah. And I'm like, man, they got to, like, I think this is going to be a good team. These guys are all young. Like, things are looking great. And pretty much since then, like, I feel like they've made moves where I've been like, yeah, that makes sense. That might work. I don't mind that. It should work. And I just really hasn't worked out. And from that point, a couple of years ago when that team got 100 points and looked great to now, it's just kind of been a steady decline. So, I mean, it also doesn't help when, not that it's ever one thing. I'm sure it's a combination of a bunch of things, but, Hughes not being able to stay healthy, whether it's, his shoulders or a steak knife or whatever the hell it is, that doesn't help either. When
no more team dinners.
Yeah, no kidding. So, but yeah, from the way outside looking in, I could see why they would be looking to move on.
Racer?
Yeah, for all those things. He's made some great moves that it looks like are going to work great on paper, and it hasn't worked. And at some point, you can only do that for so long. You can only miss the playoffs 2 years in a row, and you have a really good lineup and really good players on paper that seem to be going the right way. And he's been there a long time. So now all of these firings are happening, and you feel like probably as an owner, you're getting a little antsy. Like anyone with a job right now should be really nervous that this is happening at the end of the year like this, because inevitably owners are looking and talking to each other, and they don't want to miss the boat on the next guy. And that's kind of what I feel happening, because now inevitably Jersey has to get a GM to fire their coach. Keefe's going to get fired because the new GM's coming in. Then they need to get a coach. Like, this whole thing starts ramping up pretty quickly. And it's amazing that teams are getting ahead of it before the season even ends. You could see, like, I could see something coming into play where you can't fire a general manager with 5 games left. Like, I could see a rule coming in to the NHL here soon, because I can't imagine Bettman loves these kind of news stories overtaking a playoff run that is going on right now.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, I guess so. But it's finding talking points to talk about the league. We've kind of killed the trades, right? Because of in the cap era and everything, dollars in, dollars out, and trying to make it all work. We just don't get those hockey trades that we used to, that could still be water cooler conversations. Not that there's a lot of water coolers around these days, but you know what I mean? Like those conversations. And so, yeah, I can see it from both sides. I do wonder if, Quinn Hughes could still wind up in New Jersey in another year and a half from now, but you do wonder if there was any fallout from that, not ultimately landing in New Jersey even this year, with Hughes ultimately leaving Vancouver for Minnesota. But nevertheless, another GM job is open. While we're talking management, we haven't had a chance to really hit on it yet, but Brad Treliving out in Toronto. They announced this a week ago, literally right after we had finished recording our episode. We had talked about it a few weeks prior. I think from just a very peripheral standpoint, when you look at some of it was just bad luck. Some of it, Brad's got to own. But, you look at it from a management standpoint between the time in Calgary, how it ended, and how it ends in Toronto. I'm not sure if there's a GM who's had a tougher 4 years with like impact moves that have just gone the wrong way with Brad Treliving. But Razor, let's start with the former Leaf great here on this one.
Well,
Treliving
again,
out.
it just comes down to, okay, we've got a lot of work to do. We got to move forward. We might not have a draft pick. We got to pick a new coach. If our GM is not going to be around for 3 years, then we need to find the guy that is going to be around for 3 or 4 years to be able to make those decisions. And it seems as though the Leafs had to get ahead of it. I'm curious if it had to do with trying to get a new, like what they're going to do. It has to do with Austin does Austin Matthews' dad become the general manager of the Toronto Maple Leafs?
Maybe.
What's going on in those, where is Austin Matthews? No one's heard from him in months. Where is that situation at? And it's, again, MLSE is a big corporation. It's not a mom and pop organization that's just run by Mike Ilitch, who just does it out of passion. MLSE is a whole different animal, and who knows who's actually making the decision and who's going to end up being that general manager.
Well, the funny thing is, Commie is at the news conference last week, there's Keith Pelly talking about evidence-based.
Oh, yeah.
Kind of almost leaning towards analytics.
Oh boy,
but then
it's just the touch of death for me.
Yeah.
It sounds like they were looking for Kyle Dubas the way that they were describing everything.
Yeah. I mean,
the guy in Carolina.
They're going to find a scientist at Duke like Carolina did.
That's right.
I like Brad, and maybe I'm a little jaded. I know him a little bit and know him a little bit from Calgary, and we played golf together a little bit. I like him. I think he's a great guy. I do agree with you, C-Ball. Some of this stuff, though, especially in Cal, it's been he's had some tough cards dealt to him that he had to just try and make the best of. But you got to figure with that Pelly coming in and the way the season's gone, somebody was going to get gassed for sure. Mm-hmm. So he was just the first one to go. I am interested to see where they go from here. And I'm interested to see, you were talking about who's making the calls. How is this going to work? Because I just golfed with a guy today, actually, who's buddies with that Keith Pelly. This guy's a business guy from Toronto. So I just asked him, I'm like, oh, what do you think? He's like, I actually really like him. I think he's good at what he does. I'm like, is he a hockey guy? The guy's like, no, not at all.
Yeah.
So whatever.
Keith was my old boss at one time.
right.
The other thing that's interesting, okay, so you fire him after the deadline. So who was making the decisions at the deadline? Did they let Treliving make all those decisions at the deadline? Or point. Was somebody else telling him what to do with it? That's really interesting to me too. The timing of all this, because typically you wouldn't let him trade for first rounders and give up make those moves if you're gassing him in a week and a half or 2 weeks later.
Yeah. Yes. I mean, I know it's a new world and analytics are big and I understand it. And I'm sure my personal opinion, not being an analytics guy, I don't even know what the stat, I don't even know whatever. I don't know anything about it, but I do think there's value in it. And maybe it's because I played, but I like seeing a hockey guy in the general manager position of the team and then use analytics and have analytics people and bring that in. But at the end of the day, you got to be able to go watch a game, in my opinion, watch somebody play, watch a team play, whatever, and take some. I mean, I think that still has, I think hockey people still have a lot of value. So when I saw him say data centric, and then I just saw right before we started recording, a list of a few names on potential, and who knows, this was just the score putting an article together or whatever. But I mean, it was very, the Jason Spezza was on there, but then after that, it was, I mean, all these analytics guys. So yeah, I don't know. Like I said, I'm not totally against it. And I don't want to be the old goat who won't change, but yeah, I like seeing hockey people in hockey positions personally,
especially when you're trying to build culture. When you're talking about a team that needs a culture built.
Yeah. I don't know anything about analytics. Great point, Razor. I don't know much about analytics, but I'm pretty sure there isn't one that analyzes and creates culture.
Who's going to go after Radko Gudas when your guy gets kneed? That's not in the data.
Razor, I mean, to that point, I'm in Vancouver, and I mean, you talk about culture and what was assembled in Vancouver, right? An unmitigated disaster. And so, to the point where they had to get rid of one star player, and ultimately the trickle down effect, they never recovered. The other star player is a shell of a former self. And so, I mean, culture, I mean, there are certain intangibles that, look, I do think data is an important element to put in your toolbox, but
Sure,
yeah,
of course.
I think there is a divide of also, recognizing the eyeball test and the assessment and understanding, but then how do you measure heart or intangibles of people that show up to play in big games and those who don't, right? And those who, the bigger the moment, the bigger the game, the better they play. And some people we've talked about in the past, some guys wilt. So let me throw this one to you real quick with the Leafs. There's been talk that I think management internally feels that this can be a quick fix, that this is not something that needs to be stripped down to the studs. I look at that core and I just think to myself, okay, if you're trying to just run it back with, the same group of Matthews, Nylander, Riley, Tavares, who's now in his mid-30s. I mean, I think they're guys that you can probably win with, but if they are your guys to carry you, I don't know. It's like I just don't believe in that core to be the guys. They're not the dogs in the fight that are going to lead you through. Does that make sense?
The back end needs a lot of work. Like, it's not like you're missing a couple of injuries and they'll be back next year and everything will be okay. Like you need to, it just can't work with the back end that they have. And then Matthews. Like, what is no one really thinks he's coming back. So, okay. So he's not part of the core. So now how do you rebuild and retool through that? So I agree with you, Seaball. I don't see it the same way. And I hope for Toronto's sake, they don't really think of it that way and that they think they have a lot of work to do.
I don't know your boy, Mr. October, Seaball, so it's not like I talked to him, and other than running him into the golf shop there last summer, and I never got his number.
You never got that round? You never got that round in together?
That round never happened, unfortunately.
Well, screw him.
But I'll say, I think, this is just me speaking, I think Austin Matthews has had enough up there. This is me guessing. Mm-hmm. And I think he's going to be gone before the draft.
Yep.
That's what I think. I'm going to go with that. And at the end of the day, maybe it's a good, like, hey, look.
Yeah, maybe that's better for the
Maybe it might be better for the Leafs too. You're going to get a lot out of that, right? How many years left does he have on his deal? At least one or two?
Yeah, two.
So, I mean, and at the end of the day, this guy's he is, I know he gets ripped on up there, but he is an excellent player. So
whatever team he goes to, he's getting 40 or 50.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, a down season for that guy now is 40 goals, right?
Yeah. Right, like that's pretty Jesus.
Right.
I didn't get halfway there in 15 years, for Christ's sakes. But anyways.
Yeah, but you know what, Tommy? We call you Mr. June around here.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Off the glass and out. Yep. That's right. In the spring. Yep. Austin Matthews, go get the puck.
I want to touch on the playoff race right now. And you got Todd McClellan, Rick Bowness have both recently called their teams out publicly. Tell me this, and look, I mean, these teams are, the Wings have been banged up, the Jackets are banged up, but their coaches are doing everything they can to challenge guys. But when does a coach calling you out as a player or as a team, when does it work and when does it fall on deaf ears, Kami?
For me, I would say if it's personally, I like it. I think it's good, and I think it's a good move. You have to kind of know when to do it. I think it's one of those things like the boy who cried wolf. If you're constantly going into the paper and torching your players, sooner or later, it's like, you know what? This coach is an idiot. I'm not listening to him anymore. But if you're doing it once, like, every so often, or, Bonus just got there, right? So it's the first time that's happened. And I don't remember McLennan, I don't think he has a massive history of torching his players. So, I mean, if it's not happening all the time, then I think people listen. So I don't mind it at all, personally.
Yeah, and I think if you're going to do it, now's the time. But you got 8 games. You can't wait till the last game. You got 4 games left, 5 games. Detroit blowing a 3 or coming back from 3 goals down and then taking a penalty. Like, it's just, you can't happen. So I'm okay with it. Again, you can't do it on the last day when the season's over. So you might as well play your card one more time here with 5 games left and see what comes of it.
Throw this to you guys in the East right now. McDavid was calling the Pacific a pillow fight there a few weeks ago. Here we are right now. How about this race for kind of the final playoff spot right now in the East? Columbus has lost 6 in a row.
Oof.
The Islanders have lost 4 straight. Ottawa's got just 2 W's in their last 6, and they're hanging on as we record this. Detroit's lost 6 of 8. And then you got Philly, who's won now 8 of 11.
Philly's
and
in.
so they're in right now. They've found a way. Like, they've been cooking, and everybody else seems to have just bottomed out. And then Washington's still in the mix. They had won 4 of 5 before absolutely getting demolished by the Rangers. Like, when you're in the fight, are these games harder to win? Or like, do you play with confidence, or are you playing with a fear to lose? Like, what's that feeling right now when you're in these moments?
I mean, I feel like if you're playing like scared to lose, I feel like you're going to lose. More often
totally.
than
I agree
not.
with that.
Yeah, like at the end of the day, you got to go out there and play, and you should be, these are games that obviously matter. It's towards the end of the season. Yes, you're trying to get in the play. Everything's so tight. Like, I don't know. To me, this should be your best effort, and you should be excited for these games. I mean, you got to be treating these games like it's the first round of the right, like it's a playoff game. You got to win these games, or win 4 of 7, or whatever, however you want to break that down. So yeah, I think teams should be fired up, but and like I said, none of us are in the room. But if you're going out there and playing scared, I think they're scared to lose. More often than not, you're losing.
Yeah, like a team like Philly's not. They thought they were out of it, and they're a bunch of young guys, and they're not playing with fear at all. And now they're feeling it, and now they're going. Detroit has been playing with fear for weeks now because they're hearing it. They didn't want to lose. They want it too badly. Sometimes you can want it too much too, and that's where you feel Detroit is. Columbus, I think they just ran into a wall. They had to win so many games. They put themselves so far behind the 8 ball early in the year that they've been on such a run. At some point that was going to dry up just a little bit. That bad luck was going to show up. But I feel like they're going through that. And now the Islanders fired their coach. So who knows what that does. But 1-13-1 are the Islanders, the Red Wings, and the Columbus Blue Jackets in their last 15 games combined. 1-13-1.
That is disgusting.
That's not good.
That is disgusting.
And they might find one of those teams might find a way in. Right
one
now.
of them can
It's
still
crazy.
get in. Yeah, one of them can still get in.
Okay, time for our question of the week. So each week we pick a question from you. That's right, you. Whether you're watching along on YouTube or following along in audio format on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. So every week, just use the hashtag askctc. Hit us up on social. Hit us up on YouTube comments. This week's question, guys, are there any players you had beef with which extended beyond hockey? And are there any that you still don't get along with? Razor.
There's nobody that there's definitely a few guys and stories in the league that had like real personal stuff happen to each other that no one's getting over. I fortunately didn't have any of that drama in my life. I had a few guys that I hated and thought I would hate forever, but I ended up playing with them and becoming teammates with them, and then became friends with them. The first one's Mike Ribeiro. Mike Ribeiro in the playoffs played Montreal. I hated Mike Ribeiro more than anything in the world. And then I played with him in Dallas, and he's an absolute character and hilarious. Another French guy, exactly the same kind of guy. Alex Burrows, the absolute worst, pain in the ass, asshole on the ice. Go to play with him in Vancouver, and he's the best teammate of all time. So I don't have anybody that. There's a few coaches on my list. There's a few coaches that I'd walk by in the downstairs alleyway after the game or during the games now, where I don't look at them. But no players that I don't think anyone hates me, and I don't really hate anybody that I can remember. No fights, no suspensions. No one did anything to me. So I'm lucky that way. I didn't get cooked by anybody.
Is there a coach that you didn't like in the moment, but now when you see, you actually get along?
Yeah, most of the other ones that I kind of like, yeah. Like there's, like you kind of had that with everybody. Like there was, like Mike Sullivan. But when on the way out with Mike Sullivan, I'm like, this guy's the worst guy ever, the whole thing. Meanwhile, we'd like gone up through the minors together, and like we're best friends when we see each other now. But
nice.
For a couple months.
Okay, Kami, I feel like you don't hate anybody, but.
I saw there wasn't really.
It's hard. Like you really to the question before. Sorry to interrupt, Kami, but to the question, guys really don't hate each other off the ice that much. Like it really, it really has to be somebody ending a career or really injuring you badly, or somebody like did something with your girlfriend or something.
Right.
Like those are kind of the
And those stories exist.
Of course they do. No, those are out there.
But those are real life. That happens in every other job.
The ways you would really hate someone or like see someone at a golf tournament and like walk away. Otherwise, you're gonna have a beer and like laugh about the one night you guys had a fight or something, you know?
Yeah, like the one guy I hated on the ice, I hated that Kovalchuk, and I've never met him in person, but I'm sure he's fine. Like, you know, there was nothing that I extended off the ice. I mean, I did have, you know, I like to think that I got along with pretty much everybody that I played with. I did have one thing with one guy when I was in Carolina, but once again, it had nothing to do with on-ice stuff or whatever. It was a misunderstanding where some wives got in my, anyways, it had nothing to do with hockey, and it was a total misunderstanding. There was a few beers involved. I probably said something I shouldn't have, and then he stood up like he should have, and then I lost my marbles a little bit and cut my toe open. But and we ended up playing together for a couple more years. But for one full year, we didn't talk for one full calendar year. Not a word. The only word that was exchanged would be in a D-zone face-off if I was going high or low. That's it. That was other than that, not a word, but there were no, like, you know, we didn't get into it again. It was just silence. And then.
And were you partners on the ice?
Well, we were on the same team. Yeah. He was he wasn't my D partner. He
wasn't your D partner. Okay.
Yeah, but he was my teammate.
Yeah.
And then, you know what? We finally got to the next year's party, and I was sitting there at one end of the bar.
And there were drinks involved.
And they were, you know, him and his wife were sitting at the other end, you know, at opposite ends of the bar. And I remember sitting there, and I looked down, and I look at myself in the mirror behind the bar, and I'm like, this is so stupid. So I just yelled at both of them from where I was sitting, and they looked over. I said, enough. And they're like, yes. And I went over, hugged in, and everything was fine. And so, but it was one full year of silence.
There you go. That's
and
as
it's
long
all
as
good
it usually
now.
is.
Yeah.
Great story as always. And you know what? The principal mom, I'm sure, would be proud that there you were.
Yeah, we buried the hatchet. No big deal.
There you go. Mrs. Commodore, see, your son's showing out well still. Okay, time for Don't Puck It Up. Let me kick off the party here. This one, my Don't Puck It Up, Nick Suzuki and Cole Caulfield avec le Canadien de Montréal. Closing in on some massive milestones here, guys. Only 6 players in Montreal Canadiens history have scored 50 in a season. We're talking
crazy.
It is crazy.
It is crazy. Like the most storied franchise in the history of the sport. And we're talking the Rocket. We're talking Boom Boom. We're talking the Flower, Steve Shutt, Stéphane Richer, and Pierre LaRouche. Cole Caulfield is a goal away from joining that club and becoming the first since 1990 when Stéphane Richer did it all those years ago. And
That's
Suzuki, it is crazy.
Yeah.
And how about this one, Commie? One further, Nick Suzuki, as we record this, sitting with about 95 points. He's looking to become the first Montreal Canadian in 40 years to hit 100 points since Mats Naslund. Only 4 players in the history of the Habs. Mats Naslund. Razors, one of Razors' former favorites.
I loved Mats Naslund.
We're talking Naslund, Pete Mahovlich, Steve Shutt, and Guy Lafleur, the only other ones who have done that.
Crazy.
That's crazy. I never would have guessed that.
And those guys are never going to pay for a meal ever in Montreal if they get to this number.
Nick, Cole, don't puck it up. Make history, buddies.
I like that one. I'll go next. Razor, you can finish us off. Don't puck it up. Like I mentioned earlier, I'm going to the Frozen Four, driving to Las Vegas Wednesday evening. North Dakota, Wisconsin, Thursday afternoon. Michigan and Denver in the evening right after. And then the winners play, obviously, Saturday afternoon at 2 o'clock Vegas time. Last time I was in Las Vegas for a North Dakota game was the Hall of Fame game like 5 years ago or something. And ASU actually beat them. It was just one game. But I'm not going to focus on the hockey part. For this one, I'm going to say don't puck it up whoever sets up these like parties, these pregame parties in Vegas. Last time I was there, they had a North Dakota get-together on Fremont Street, and I walked in there, and I couldn't stop laughing. I think the people of Vegas thought that, oh, yeah, it's North Dakota. There's going to be like 50 people that show up to this thing. Well, there wasn't. There was 10,000, and they had no idea what to do. Oh, yeah. They were scrambling. There's no booze. So now, not only you got North Dakota, you got Wisconsin. I mean, the people of Wisconsin like to drink beers. I'm sure it's not much different in Michigan, and maybe Denver a little bit lighter when it comes to beer consumption. But don't puck it up. Whoever's in charge of the parties in Vegas, there are going to be people showing up, and they're going to be thirsty.
It's going to be great. Mm-hmm. Oh, I can't wait to text Commie all day Thursday. It's going to be awesome. Yeah. All right, this is for Stu Stone. Don't puck it up. Bottom of the league. Start to tank. Toronto Maple Leafs, Chicago Blackhawks, Vancouver Canucks quit winning hockey games. Get to the bottom. Give yourself a chance to turn this thing around. I'm looking especially at you, Maple Leafs, top 5 protected. Our producer, Stu Stone, cannot handle another win from the Toronto Maple Leafs the rest of the year. Sit everybody in the stands, mail these games in, and get to the absolute bottom National Hockey League teams.
Wow. I like it. I like it. Stu will like that Stu. Too. Yeah, we just commented. Yeah, he loves it. He loves it.
we might have some big news that we might be doing a public appearance here at some point in the next couple of weeks. So stay tuned for that. We'll maybe next episode we can share that. But for those of you in the GTA, you might have a chance to come hang out with us. Charming. Maybe not me so much, but the other two cool cats. They're giving us the go home cue. So just remember to like and subscribe on YouTube for more Clearing the Crease powered by Ozune.net. And follow along on Apple, Spotify, X, Instagram, TikTok. Like and subscribe on YouTube, as I mentioned, because Stanley Cup is wide open. Here we go. It's playoff time, and the clearest route to winning big is to play on Ozune.net. Ozune's got you covered on all props, game lines, futures from now until the Cup final and beyond. Make your power play and score big with Ozune. Well played. And before we get out of here, 10 seconds real quick. Masters prediction. Commie, Razor, give us a quick winner as we say goodbye.
Go ahead, Razor. My mic was just muted.
DeChambeau.
Oh. God, you know what? Honestly, that was going to be my pick, so I'll go a little different. I'm going to, you know what? I don't think Rory's got a lot on his plate. I haven't looked into this, though, either, but whatever. At the end of the day, I'm going to go with the Scottsdale resident, another live golfer, John Rahm.
John Rambo. Mm-hmm. I like that one, too.
Yep. Let me take the villain, Patrick Reed. Always seems to play well.
He's going to be good.
There we go. Wow. And on that note, he's Commie, he's Razor, I'm Sapolsky. We'll see you next week. It's playoff time, everybody. Let's go here on the Clearing the Crease podcast, powered by Ozune.net.